Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. We appreciate it, and excited to have you on this podcast, and appreciate your time. I wanted to just dive right into the episode and get right into talking about that 28 gauge. Was that I kind of want to know, was that your idea to put that together with Benelli, or did that just come about and you?
And I highly doubt it was my idea, but I certainly was a proponent for it. That 28 gauge is a unbelievable gun.
Did you shoot it the majority of the time last year, or was it just something you kind of used here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know, I probably shot it 60% of the time and shot the 20 gauge 40% of the time. And I don't really know what made me take one versus the other. I love the 28 and I love the 20 both.
Yeah. Now, it's is there a specific ammo that you're wanting to shoot with it, or do you? I mean, I know you use that heavy 12. That's kind of what, when I seen your Instagram post last year, I was like, I got to get that gun, because that was brand new at the time, and I seen you were pairing that with the 3-inch heavy 12, and I used heavy 12 for the 12 gauge, but I'm excited to use it for my 28 this year because I end up getting the same gun this year. Is it just?
Yeah, I was shooting. I got a couple boxes of the 3-inch 28 in heavy 12, and it was, man, I just don't know how you could feel under gun one bit shooting it. Incredible patterns, and the heavy 12, excuse me, which is it's the original heavy shot in a 25 round offering. I mean, it's still, to me, the best waterfowl load I've ever shot. I mean, if you look at the science, I mean, outside of TSS, which is in a league of its own, and also is price wise, the heavy 12, the original heavy shot, the heavy 12 is the densest stuff there is, and it hits extremely hard.
Hey, Tony. So, what made you go with? Was there anything specific that made you choose the Benelli Ethos Cordoba versus like a Super Black Eagle? Because I know, just looking at that, they kind of market that a little bit more as like a field gun in the past. And I know the Cordoba has the 3-inch chamber. Did the Black Eagle have a 3-inch chamber last year, or is that something new for this year? Or what made you pick the Ethos versus the Black Eagle?
Well, when I first started shooting a 28 gauge, it was the Ethos Cordoba, but it was the beautiful wood, beautiful engraved metal and everything. I mean, it was just a beautiful gun, and I felt horrible taking it out on a rainy day, even though it's just a tool. Took it out on a lot of sunny days, but then the first one they came out with in synthetic was the Ethos Cordoba Best. Excuse me. Which the Best has the Benelli surface treatment, which is unbelievable. Like I'm not one to. I'm sure you guys aren't either. I'm not one to put a lot of time into cleaning guns. It's just a part of my day I just don't devote the time to. Shoot a little oil in them every 3 or 4 days and tip them upside down and call it good. And that Best treatment has, I believe it's a 25-year guarantee on it. I mean, you can put it in salt water, you can dunk it in the lake, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's not going to rust. And that's a big deal for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Now, did you use that when you went on your eider hunt, Tony?
Actually, no, we didn't have it then. When I was up there, that was we had the first, I think there was 5 of them, the first 5 prototypes of the Super Black Eagle 312 gauge. The Best coating still wasn't out yet.
Was it last year that? Go ahead. Sorry.
It's probably been 3 years, I think, since the Best treatment came out. But back to the 28 gauge, the first one that came out in synthetic was the Ethos Cordoba Best, and that's the one that I got last year. And now this year they brought out the Super Black Eagle 328, which I'm sure is absolutely incredible. I haven't got one yet; it's on order, but I'm
Well, let me ask you what kind of Thomas was kind of asking us a little bit ago, but what's the now that they're both out? I mean, obviously you're getting both. You have one and you're getting the other one, but you can go read online and see the differences. But like, what in your mind is it just for you to buy both? Is it just to have them, or is there a difference that you would use one versus the other?
I don't think there's a difference as far as use one versus the other. I love the SBE3 platform. In the 12 gauge, which I shot, the original prototypes up in Alaska, and then I've got the Super Black Eagle 320 gauge, which is awesome. I love the SBE3 platform. Never failed. It's got a lot of features. Like from my M220 gauge, it's got a lot of great features that it doesn't have. And the M220 gauge is an absolute workhorse. But it, redesigned bolt, some improved recoil system. It's just a lot of things that people. I get the question a lot: would you buy the M2 or the Super Black Eagle? And I always tell them Super Black Eagle 3. I mean, it's the finest shotgun I've ever shot in any of the offerings. And I haven't shot the 28 gauge, but I can't imagine it won't be the same as the 12 and the 20.
Mm-hmm. What makes you like that? And I didn't mean to get stuck on the guns like this, but what makes you like the Benelli platform? I mean, I'm sure any of us know, like waterfowlers, it's just whatever your preference is and what feels right. Throwing something to your shoulder. That's what I've always said. And the reason I've always been a big Browning advocate, but I know it's probably going to be a while. I'm thinking before they come out with a 28 gauge for Browning. So I was like, I'm going to get this gun because I've been wanting a 28 for probably 3 years. And once I seen the 3-inch, 28-inch barrel, I was like, I got to get this gun. But I mean, have you ever shot any other ones? And what's your preference to it? Is just because they can take a beating or what?
Yeah, for me, I've seen all different varieties of them come through Habitat Flats. I started shooting Benellis when they first came across the pond. The Super 90 was the first one, and it's been a long time ago, and I've just no issue with them. I mean, they've always shot when I wanted them to. Very little maintenance, but to me, it's the difference between an inertia system gun and a gas gun. I've seen a lot of gas guns get kind of finicky if they get dirty. I personally haven't shot gas guns. I mean, all I've shot is Benellis, but I've just never had a problem with it. And like you said, I mean, it's just like anything. Some guys like Ford, some guys like Chevys. You get a good one, and that's what you stick with. And Benelli has always been the best for me.
Now back to ammo, because we barely touched on it. How long have you been shooting heavy shot product? I'm just curious because they've been around quite a while. And again, like you said, I'm sure this is the kind of guy you are. Is you don't just do something because it's about working with somebody or this or that. It's about what you believe in. And we are major advocates. Whether we worked with heavy shot or not, I'd be buying that product. I mean, I'm a big fan, Thomas, too, of heavy bismuth. But how long have you been shooting heavy shot product, and like kind of what's your favorite in that line? I know they're all good.
Man, that's a good question. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time. I've shot everything in their lineup. I mean, like you said, the bismuth is really good. My favorite has always been the original heavy shot, which is now even better, which is heavy 12 because it's offered in the 25 round box instead of 10, and it's a lot more affordable. That's definitely my favorite, but the bismuth would probably be a close second.
Yeah,
the heavy metal. God, I've shot cases and cases and cases of heavy metal snow goose hunting, and never had an issue with it.
Is that your go-to for snow goose?
Yeah, that's what I usually shoot the most is the heavy metal.
Yeah, that we remember the first time. I think Thomas, weren't you the one that shot that very first time you bought a box of that in Wisconsin?
Yeah, we went to Wisconsin and we didn't fly with any ammo, so we went down to what was that store they have in Wisconsin?
I can't even remember.
Is it Farm Fleet or no?
Farm King. Farm and Fleet. Yeah.
Yep,
Farm and Fleet.
Yeah.
That store is awesome. We don't have any of those in California, but we went over there and I don't really know what made me pick that out. I don't know if they were kind of short and they only had that, or if I just wanted to try something new. Because before then I was just shooting Super X, but I bought some heavy metal. I think it was number 4s, and we were duck hunting, and some honkers came in. And I don't know. It was a decent little shot. They're probably 35, 40 yards, and I mean that's that honker just stone cold dead. It didn't flinch when it hit the water, and I looked at Titus and I'm like, what in the world? Because, used to shooting Super X, a lot of times you got to make a second and third shot to finish them off, because they're not, it just doesn't have the power, the density that the heavy metal did. But so ever since then, I was kind of a believer. I think ever since after that, we've shot heavy metal. And then after that, moved to heavy bismuth and fell in love with that. I don't shoot too much heavy metal anymore. I have some, but man, I fell in love with heavy bismuth so much. And then a heavy 12 last year, we tried it out a little bit for the first time. That stuff is just incredible.
Yeah, it is for sure. I mean, for me, it's kind of like, if you spend as much time doing what you love to do, then the ammo is honestly the smallest part of the hunt. I mean, why would you shortchange yourself on what's going to seal the deal? Your gun and your ammo, that's what's going to seal the deal.
Yeah.
And that's really a pretty small part of the hunt when you look at fuel, boats, decoys, all that stuff. It's hard for me to justify not going with the best.
Right.
Yeah, and then you're actually shooting less shells because you're not having to deal with cripples.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That was the big light switch for me, especially when I seen that, as tough as honkers are, and seen that thing fold like a wet rag. And then I started shooting it as well. And then going to the bismuth, because a lot of people will say, it's expensive, this and that, and especially the last year or two, the way everything has went up, fuel, like you said, ammo, all that stuff. But it's like, in all reality, I've kind of tracked the numbers of shells shot for a season, and it's by far less with more birds because I'm, like you said, not having to do a follow shot every time, It's penetrating. The density is going through that feather, density, and going right into the bird. So it makes a huge difference. But So what do you got going on? I know this is the off season, but for a lot of us, but for you, it's probably a super busy season getting everything ready at Habitat Flats.
Yeah, I mean, this is the off season, quote unquote, it's probably my busiest time of year. I mean, duck hunting's vacation; it's easy, but this time of year, getting our crops in, got everything in for now. It's gotten kind of wet, so looks like I'm gonna have to replant a couple of spots. But all in all, everything looks good. Kind of the beginning, after snow goose season, getting everything ready, and then we'll start planting. And once planting's done, then it's just a lot of spraying and mowing, and then it's time to start working on wetlands. And the wetlands are way more work than ag ground. Because they're wetlands for a reason. I mean, they're always wet. So you're trying to get them dried out to where you can disc and spray and kind of take care of the non-desirable species that are growing and propagate the good ones. And then where you can't, you'll work it up and plant Jap millet, buckwheat, a number of different things. It's a busy time of year.
What's your kind of go-to to plant that you notice the birds like the most?
To me, it's hard to say a best, just because their nutritional needs change throughout the season based on the temperature. I mean, when it's warmer, they eat a lot of bugs, and bugs get overlooked. But bugs and invertebrates, but your moist soil foods, millet, smartweed, panicum, stuff like that is going to be way, way, way better than ag foods, corn and beans. And as it gets colder, then they're going to transition over. They're going to need the higher carb food. They're going to go more towards like your corn and beans. But I think to have and hold ducks throughout a 60-day season, you got to have a lot of variety. Just because their needs are going to change.
Mm.
And if you look, like I'm not sure how it is in California. I've never hunted there, but I'm sure that they probably use different types of habitat between the early season and the late season out there.
Yeah. That's kind of my thing is the deal for us is just no water. And I feel like, I don't know if you think this too, Travis, but I feel like our whole lives they've been talking about no water. So
yeah, and I don't think it's so much an issue of, I mean, we do have less water at times, but with the environmental agenda here, they just do not
manage it well.
Manage it and store water for use. They just let it go, And their big thing here is the salmon coming up the rivers, and I think that's important, to keep that going. But the amount of water they let out just to have fish come up a river is absurd, and we need to build more dams here in California. But environmentalists just block it at every turn of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Like where we're at in Missouri, I mean, we're very fortunate. We don't have any water restrictions, any water rights. You can pump out of a creek. You can drill a well wherever you want.
So you guys don't pay for water by the foot then?
No. We had a lodge in Kansas that we sold, and water rights are a son of a gun out there. They tell you how many gallons you can pump and when and if you can pump it.
Yes,
that's how it is out here.
Yeah, and that to me just blows my mind. Like the last, we bought a farm in Kansas. It was like 170 acres or something like that, and it bordered the river. It was flat, kind of right by the refuge. I mean, it was gonna be a good one. And applied for water rights, and they're like, "Yeah, you get water rights. You get 7 acres of water a foot deep." We're like, "Whoa, what?"
Ain't quite enough.
Could have been Missouri, you'd cut it into 40-acre units and put a well in each one of them. But it's weird how different areas of the country, how precious a resource water really is.
Yeah.
No, Tony, birds. Talking ducks there at Habitat Flats. Do you guys target primary species? Are you looking mostly to get mallards? I guess that's nationwide. They only shoot one pintail, right?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely target mallards. That's probably it's our number one duck for sure. But we have a ton of variety, especially early in the season. I mean, pintails, teal, widgeons, gadwalls, shovelers. I mean, pretty much every species of puddler. We see a lot of divers, ringnecks, cans, redheads, all that stuff. But by and large, we're hunting mallards.
Yeah. You guys get any cinnamon teal there?
We are way too far east for that, but we killed one last year or two. I think it was 2 years ago. We killed one cinnamon teal. And it's the only one anybody's ever seen around here.
Wow.
Killed some neat stuff though. We've killed a cinnamon teal, and then we've killed a few scoters.
Wow.
They were lost.
That's crazy.
I thought it was really weird that big, I think it was Hurricane Sandy several years ago, big northeast wind up there in the northeast, and like a day after that we killed a scoter.
It pushed him over. Huh.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we thought. Since then, I think I've kind of come to find out they're shooting quite a few scoters on the Great Lakes and whatnot, so it might not be as odd as I think it is, but either way, a scoter.
Yeah, but Missouri, you're not too close to the Great Lakes, are you?
No.
You think they're traveling from there to the Gulf or back over to the East Coast, or?
Man, I don't know. I think
that's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
That's kind of funny you said that, because we actually shot a scoter. Or that was a scoter.
Yeah, scoter.
in an area where you would not shoot it. It was like a mountain refuge pretty much. And there was a scoter up there that actually it took us a minute to figure out what it was because we knew it was a duck, but it was like it was a hen surf scoter.
Yeah.
And we have those in our Bay Area a lot, but never shot it on a public refuge. Like 300 miles inland or something?
300 or 400. Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
That's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy what some of these birds will do and where they'll go and where they'll end up, how far they'll go back north or how far they'll end up west when they get back to breeding grounds. I mean, it's really neat to look at some of the band reports and some of the tracking information when they put the trackers on them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, do you do a lot of off-season training with your dogs, or do you have guys doing that for you, or how do you guys go about that?
Well, I used to do my first dog. I did it myself, and it's just gotten to be a little bit too busy with farming and the management work. But we have a kennel here at Habitat Flats Kennels. Got some great trainers, beautiful facility, and my dogs are out there now. Except for I've got one puppy here at the house now, and whew, been a while since I've had a puppy around.
A lot of work, huh?
It is. And, it's just, I've got a lot more work in the summer farming and with the management. And I've got 2 little girls now, which, if I've got some free time after doing that, I definitely want to spend time with my family. So
Yeah, that's priority for sure. Yeah, I seen that on your Instagram there. What is your one daughter's name? I know you got 2, but the one daughter's named Vivian. My oldest is named Vivian. She's 13, but I seen her. She seems like pretty good at a little crack shot there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, man. She's I don't know. We'll see. You know how it is having girls. I think that putting the right tools in their hand and educating them this will be something that hopefully we'll be able to do forever. And maybe we'll be going to dance recitals and all that stuff here in a couple.
Yeah, because that's kind of every kid's different, even with boys too. But my one daughter, my oldest one, she likes to go out there, but I've kind of realized this year because I've taken her on junior hunts for the last 3 years or whatever, and kind of realized, and it's totally okay, as a dad, I don't mind if she doesn't want to kill, a duck or whatever, but she loves going out there. But she's like, this year she told me, I don't really want to kill something. And I was like, really? Okay, that's no problem. She kind of had a little breakdown. She thought she was going to disappoint me. I'm like, I don't care. It's totally fine. Just spending time doing whatever you want to do, because that's, I want to be the kind of dad, you just take them, do what they want to do. It's not about what I want to do. And now my other one, she's 10. Her name's Violet. And she's all, give me that gun. I'll shoot it. So there's a totally different mentality there. It's just funny. Each kid's different.
No, it's neat. I mean, there's no pressure. I mean, and really look back on it, these guys have killed a lot of stuff. I mean, once you get past all that, I mean, in the actual hunt, the pulling of the trigger is the least, I don't know how to say it, the less, it's not even important.
Right.
The rest of the hunt is what really makes it. The dogs, the camaraderie, and
yeah, and it's got to be neat seeing the amount of work that you put in, when it finally, when the birds start moving in and, you just see the amount of birds coming in there. It's got to be really rewarding just to see that, just to sit back and watch them fly and,
It's really cool. I mean, I love the management and the conservation aspect of it anymore, just as much as the hunt. I mean, you're out there sweating and, it's summer, it's hot, buggy. It's just sometimes can be miserable, but you're always thinking about what's this look like here in 3 months.
Yeah.
What's it going to produce?
Yeah.
Is anything going to like this little change? Is anything going to hit this spot? What about a levee here? What about changing this? You're always making little changes, and then, to see it come to fruition in the fall is very rewarding.
Are you keeping a notepad? Because that's a lot to man. I don't know how many acres you have there, but if you can say that, and then are you keeping a notepad with notes over the years, of everything, what works, what doesn't?
Yeah, I kind of keep some of that written down, and a lot of it is in my head, but I do jot quite a bit of it down. I don't know. We've probably got, man, I don't know, 4,000 some acres maybe. I don't know what it is between the two lodges here in Missouri.
Mhm.
It's quite a bit. It's plenty. It's enough work for sure.
Yeah.
But it's really, really, really neat to go out there in the fall after you've hunted in the morning, had a good hunt, and go out there in the evenings and watch them all coming in. I mean, that's really, really cool.
Now, do you guys keep your hunts exclusively to morning hunts, or?
No, not necessarily. I don't know how cold it gets out in California, but out here we have kind of what we call the 20-degree rule. And if it gets below 20 at night, typically they're going to move middle part of the day, early afternoon when it warms up a little bit. And if it's above that, they'll move in the mornings. So we don't just limit it to mornings. We're going to hunt when we think we can kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Tony, do you guys do you keep ponds there on the property for habitat for nesting birds, or do they kind of move out of there? How does that work?
Well, actually, yeah. There's very, very few that nest right around here, which is kind of weird. But I guess I shouldn't say weird. Most of them are going a lot further north.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of good wetland habitat around here throughout the summer, and you would think there'd be a few more hang around. But I might see 3 or 4 mallard broods. 10 or 15 wood ducks. I mean, there's some wood ducks that nest around, but very few other ducks.
Yeah.
Most all of them go back north.
Gotcha.
But we keep a lot of water on the moist soil stuff throughout the spring to help feed them as they go back north.
Now, is it like doing all that and managing that? Did someone kind of teach you and mentor you about that, or has that just been like a trial and error thing?
Man, I've definitely been mentored. My grandfather had a couple duck clubs on the Illinois River when I was a kid. My uncle worked for the state of Illinois, and he helped manage a couple refuges there, and he taught me a ton. But I mean, hunting and doing this stuff is something I've been doing as long as I can remember. My dad and uncle said they took me to blind the first time when I was in diapers. Kind of all I've ever known. I mean, we worked on hunting stuff and went hunting and went fishing. I mean, thank God we didn't have iPads back then.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, I mean, we spent our anytime we weren't in school, we spent it outdoors.
Yeah. Now, how did you get involved with baseball? I mean, being hunting all the time, was that just something you kind of did on the side, or? Yeah,
I mean, I always played baseball in the summers. Played football. You played football. Friday night you played football, and Saturday morning you went duck hunting. That's how the way it was growing up. Sports was always a big thing.
Yeah.
Went and played college, and really that's what brought me to Missouri. 'Cause I grew up in Illinois. So I got down here, and it seemed like we had really, really good duck hunting when I was a kid on the Illinois River. But it seemed like the flyway was maybe shifting a little further west. When I came to college in Missouri and found all these ducks, I was like, holy cow.
Thought you went to heaven.
Found the promised land.
Yeah, and here I am still, 20-some years.
Well, you've been hunting for quite a while too, so have you felt like, you always kind of hear these things and see these things about duck hunting is not what it used to be, and you do see a lot of videos where you're like, my goodness, I've never seen birds like that, like you see some of those old footage back way long ago. But I mean, do you think it's still really, I mean, because we hunt as public land majority of the time, 99% of the time, literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think it's still as good and there's just people that are saying it's not as it used to be, or do you think it really has kind of degraded just the way things are managed?
I guess I can't say with the exception of my area of the country, but growing up in Illinois, hunting public land a lot, and then getting to hunt my grandpa's clubs. After that, Illinois just doesn't have good public land. I mean, it's got some public land, but it's terrible. It's not managed. It's just open to the public, more or less. And then when you come to the state of Missouri, the Missouri Department of Conservation is very well funded, and they put a great deal of effort in providing solid habitat. And I mean, it's a night and day difference. I mean, the hunting in Missouri today, I think, is as good as it was the first time I hunted it 22 or 3 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's gotten better, honestly. It seems like, and part of that is the winters. I mean, you hear the short stopping and, people are flooding crops and all this stuff up and down the flyway. But the fact of the matter is we just don't have winters like we used to. I mean, weather is still going to move birds. It doesn't matter if it's in California or Missouri or Kansas or anywhere. And, when I was a kid in Illinois, everybody had snowmobiles. And you can go through town now and you can't find one. We don't get snow.
Yeah.
If you don't have snow to cover up all the dry fields and whatnot, they're not going to leave. I mean, they're going to find open water, whether it's behind a dam on a big river system or a industrial fountain in town or whatever. They can find water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of ducks and geese that don't go any further south than they have to.
Yeah.
Which anymore leaves a lot of them quite a ways north. The old traditional wintering grounds.
You're right.
Now, Tony, is there any place that you haven't hunted ducks? I'm talking like, internationally that you want to go?
Oh man, I'm sure I would love to do it all, honestly, but maybe I wouldn't mind seeing New Zealand once.
Yeah.
Just because I love to shoot mallards. Well, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of a mallard purist.
Be honest. Let's be honest here. Yeah. That's all right. We're like that too. It's okay.
Yeah, I love to shoot teal. I love to shoot galls. I'll shoot it all, but to me, you cannot replace the way a flock of mallards is flying by and you hit them with a call, and one of them just breaks his neck, looking back, and then boom, sets the wings, and here they all come.
Yeah,
it's hard to do with other species, at least for me.
Yeah. And now, I want to take up a ton more of your time, but I'd like to talk a little bit more. Maybe we'll wrap this up. I know you're busy, but what about that? Travis kind of brought up your trip to go after the King Eiders. What was that whole, like, can you kind of walk us through that from, going out there, planning it? That's on my bucket list for sure, is to shoot one of those. I feel like one of these days they're going to go extinct, honestly, and not let us shoot them anymore. But what year was that? And like, what was that whole experience? Kind of walk us through the whole trip and everything.
Man, it was unbelievable. I'm trying to think what year that was. My daughter was little. It's probably like 2015 maybe, or early 2016, even 2007, somewhere right in there, 2016-ish, and was invited to go with the Benelli guys. And they had the first prototypes of the Super Black Eagle 3. And like, you want to go up to Alaska? I'm like, yeah, you bet. And we go up there, and it was like mind-blowing. Like, it's just to get there is such a chore. Like, I'll never forget it. I think we were in Anchorage getting ready to go the last flight out to St. Paul Island. And this lady, she's coming around, and we had the guys had a whole bunch of camera gear, and we had guns and ammo and all this. And she's kind of coming around like, hey, what's your bag with? Hell, I don't know, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. Oh, okay. And then she'd go to somebody else, find somebody like, what's going on? She's like, well, you pretty much have just enough fuel to get to the island, and our scales broke, so we have to kind of guess this right. And we're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear, really.
No, it's a little plane, and like kind of looking over the pilot's shoulder and whatnot. And, man,
Start taking stuff out of your bags.
Yeah, fun bunch of guys, man. We had a ball out there, but it's remote. I mean, we stayed in a little house apartment type deal, and outside of that, there isn't much there.
Mm.
I mean, what's really cool is the deadliest catch boats were offloading like whatever, a couple 100 yards away, and
Wow.
they went over and got crab right off the boat one night.
Man.
But it's just a different world. I mean, it's so remote. There's nothing over, I don't know, probably knee high on the island because the wind blows so hard. It's a challenging hunt. I mean, especially for somebody from the Midwest that hasn't spent much time on an ocean. Like first morning, we get out and go, and I didn't even realize that you go in on the ocean in the dark in these little boats. I just figured until the sun came.
I just closed my eyes and just prayed till we got there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was really, really neat experience.
So you just took a small boat out to the island or wherever it was you guys were shooting them?
Yeah, so you're staying on the island, and then you've got little Zodiacs. I don't remember what they are, 10 or 12 foot inflatable rafts with a 9.9, and you launch them like Navy SEALs off the beach. You know,
Going into battle, huh?
Yeah, run them out in the surf and jump in them.
Wow.
And then you go, whatever, a quarter, half mile offshore, and it's really cold. You're in the middle of the Bering Sea in January, but you cannot imagine the life out there. I mean, not just sea ducks, but I don't even know what kind of birds they are, but just thousands upon thousands of birds flying around. I mean, it's super, super cool to see that kind of life out in the middle of that desolate country.
Was there like little smaller islands that you guys sat on to shoot those birds, or did you shoot them out of a boat? Or?
We shot them out of the raft. So
out of the raft.
You're on your knees, and they'll put a long line out with 2 or 3 decoys, and half the time you can't even see the decoys. I mean, the waves are.
That's some difficult shooting, huh?
Oh yeah, super tough.
Yeah,
but it's super cool. A lot of times, you're within probably half mile of the coast, the shoreline, but you feel pretty damn small on a 10-foot raft in the middle of Bering Sea.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have to fight? So something I thought was interesting. What was the name of that lake in Wisconsin? We hunted out at
Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And me and Thomas, or at least I was a little concerned that I was going to get seasick. And he's like, because I mean, let's be honest, it's like, you feel like you're in the ocean. It's so big, And he's like, no, yeah. He goes, you won't get sick out here because the way, I guess, the chop is versus an ocean's totally different. So did you end up fighting a little bit of seasickness out there, or did you knock it out quick and get back on land?
Man, I got super, super lucky. I mean, I've been in boats hunting and fishing my entire life, so I didn't even think anything of it. And didn't even have a care in the world. And like once we got on the island, they're like, yeah, you're gonna get seasick. Try to look at shoreline. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna get seasick, but good advice. And so we go out there in the dark that first morning, and I don't know how big the waves are, 6-7 feet, maybe. I don't know. Just big swells, though. I mean, it's not a chop, just great big swells. And I was looking at the lights from the processing plant there where they drop the crabs off. No big deal, whatever. And I was out of coffee. I reached down to grab my thermos, and I dropped it, and I put my head down in the boat for I'm talking split second. And it was like, holy cow, I could feel it in my guts. And I sat up real quick and started looking at the shoreline. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me.
Oh.
I'm such a rookie here. It lasted maybe 15 seconds and was gone, and I didn't have it the rest of the trip. But there's a lot of people get really sick.
Oh, you lucked out. I did some deep sea fishing, boy. I think stuff was coming up from like 2 days prior to that trip, man. It was brutal, but Yeah, that's on the list. Hopefully I can do that one day. But man,
You
appreciate
can
you.
do it. It's neat.
I hope I got to put that on there. I know some people think of it as like, nah, it's a lot of money for what. Some people say this. Oh, that's a lot of money for a bird, but they think that we're crazy about mallards. Like, oh, you're all spend all that money and the clothes and guns and ammo for a little old duck. And I'm talking about big game guys. They just give us a hard time. But yeah, I wouldn't change a thing, and there's nothing like it.
Well, like you said though, a lot of that too is you got to think about that you're paying for an experience, not just
The journey.
a bird,
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's like that with any bird hunting or big game hunting or whatever. There's more than just the animal. It's the experience that you see things that you would never see or experience if you sit on the couch, don't get out in the outdoors.
Hard to put a price on a memory.
Yeah, it is. It's so weird too when you look back. Go ahead.
We were talking about that heavy metal earlier. That's what I was shooting up there. Those sea ducks. It was good stuff.
Now, is it one a day? I can't remember, or is it just one for the season for a King Eider?
You can shoot, I believe, as a non-resident 4,
Okay.
but four for the season. Like I killed my 4, I believe it was. I think you could probably kill them in the same day. That part I can't remember. But I think you get four King Eiders, 4 Harlequins, and maybe 4 old squaws or long-tailed, whatever they're called now.
Yeah, let's be politically correct. No,
I mean, if you look at just pulling the trigger, it's a long ways to go, but man, it's something you're never gonna forget.
Oh man, yeah. So what? Real quick, and we'll end this. What size shot were you using? I'm curious because obviously a trophy bird like that. I mean, at least you have 4 for mounting purposes. That if you don't want to tear them up too much, did you shoot like a 6 shot to kind of not tear it up?
No, I believe I was shooting 4s. I think I was shooting 4s. Now, you're in those boats, and it's not like they're decoying perfect. It's a lot of 30 to 40, 50-yard shots. I mean, we didn't really take anything past 40 just because if you wound one, well, I guess we didn't wound any, but they say if you wound them, you got a pretty small chance of getting them back just because they'll dive and they might swim 300 yards underwater.
Yeah. That was like
Isn't
the
that
old squaw
amazing?
too. They did that to us.
Yeah.
But we didn't have no 6 or 7 foot swells either. Or we really never would have found them.
Yeah. That's amazing to me. Those birds can dive like that.
It's crazy. Well,
Yeah,
Tony,
it is.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. It was a pleasure talking to you.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah. And guys, everybody check it out. Habitat Flats. If you haven't heard of it before, probably have. But if you haven't, check them out. Where can they find you at, Tony, if they want to look into hunt with you guys?
Habitatflats.com is our website. You can feel free to email me. It's Tony, Tony, at habitatflats.com or, the normal social media platforms, Habitat Flats.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.